Hi, I'm Andy Temte, and welcome to the Saturday Morning Muse. Start your weekend with musings that are designed to improve financial literacy around the world. Today is May the 10th, 2025. Last week, we introduced a simple two-country macroeconomy and discussed the rationale for establishing a mutually beneficial trade relationship. In our example of trade between fruit land and protein land, trade was executed through what's known as barter. Barter is a direct, immediate exchange of goods between two parties. In our example from last week, traders from fruit land brought fruit with them on their trek over the mountains to protein land. Once there, the intrepid traders from fruit land made a subjective determination of how much fruit they would quote-unquote pay for each unit of meat offered by traders from protein land. The protein land traders made a similar subjective calculation from their perspective. The question they were answering is, how much meat will we give up to acquire fruit from the fruit land representatives? After fruitful negotiations, yay, the pun is completely intended, the parties agree on the amount of fruit that will be quote-unquote paid for each unit of meat. We will call this the fruit-to-meat ratio, or the price. For example, the price of one meat could be expressed as 3 fruit. Now, after the trade is complete, time passes and each trading partner refines their expectations of value that will be used the next time traders pass over the mountains and meet each other. The previous fruit-to-meat ratio, or price, is likely to change based on changes in expected value. For example, traders from protein land might want more fruit per unit of meat because the quality of the fruit that they received before might have been lower than expected. It could have perished at a higher rate than expected, or its general desirability declined. Nobody really liked it. The main point is that each bartering session is unique and will likely yield different results for both parties. Negotiations to determine the fruit-to-meat ratio, or the price, they're time-consuming and prone to unnecessary conflict between traders because each negotiation is highly subjective. Now, to ensure continued mutually beneficial trade, both parties recognize that flaws in the barter system must be fixed. Now, the most obvious flaws or inefficiency of barter are as follows. Number 1. Traders must have the physical goods with them every time a trade happens. If a trade can't be negotiated, then traders must transport physical goods back to their home country. 2. There must also be what's called a double coincidence of wants, where both parties want what the other has for a trade to occur. If I don't want what you have, or vice versa, we won't trade. Number 3. There are no standard units of measure in our examples, which makes trade very cumbersome. Traders must establish weights and measures to ensure consistency across trading events. Now, in the United States, we use the imperial system, which is feet for length, pounds for weight, acres for area, and gallons for volume. Now, nearly every other country on the planet uses the metric system, which is meters for length, grams for weight, hectares for area, and liters for volume. We'll talk about this more in just a little bit. Next, it's difficult and sometimes impossible to trade because some physical goods are indivisible. For example, if I'm trading fruit for a live sheep, I might not have enough fruit to trade for an entire live sheep. You can't divide a sheep and still have a live sheep. So, lastly, it's difficult to store value or build wealth across time and trading events in a barter system, especially when trade is occurring with perishable goods. Now, you've likely bartered at some point in your life. As a kid, I would show up at a sleepover with a large chocolate bar and would barter with my friends to receive a peanut butter cup and other candy that I wanted in exchange for part or all of my chocolate bar. All parties benefited because I didn't need or necessarily want my entire chocolate bar. My personal satisfaction increased as a result of these trades because I enjoyed consuming a wider range of candy. While fun as a child, economies don't grow and flourish when trades are cumbersome, tedious, and subjective. Now, the reason we're spending so much time on the barter system is that human civilization has its beginnings rooted in solving the challenges with a barter economy. Now, here are a few of the monumental advancements that are a direct result of trying to make trade more efficient, to solve the problems with barter. Number 1, recorded history, as opposed to prehistory, started with the invention of writing and counting systems around 3500 BC in Mesopotamia, which is modern-day Iraq. There's also evidence that clay tokens were used as record-keeping devices as early as 10,000 BCE. So, the written word and numerical counting systems got their start as a result of trade. We had to figure out a common or at least interpretable communication system for tracking and recording our trades. Second, we also had to agree on units of measure such as length, weight, area, and volume to create standard ways to measure the things that we were trading. Now, as you might expect, early on, we started by using physical body parts, palms, fingers, forearm. Did you know that your forearm is about 1 foot long for just about everybody? But then we graduated to standard units like the cubit rod for length, the talent for weight, and the sextarius for volume. Now, these are legacy historical units of measure, and there will not be a quiz. The imperial system that's used in the United States can trace its roots back to the Romans, but was formally introduced in the United Kingdom starting in 1824. The French developed the metric system after the French Revolution and formally adopted it in 1799. So, the systems that we use today are fairly recent in history. And finally, currencies were developed. To truly take advantage of the benefits of trade, we needed to create a more reliable medium of exchange to solve the problems of measurement, indivisibility, double coincidence of wants, and store of value. Now, early trading partners used quote-unquote durable goods like pigs, sheep, and cattle as a medium of exchange, and especially that store of value, but they were really cumbersome and didn't solve the indivisibility and measurement issues. Also, currencies are a much better tool to express the price of a good. Instead of 1 meat being equal to 3 fruit, both meat and fruit can be expressed in units of an agreed currency. So the headline of today's episode is this: the world that you live in today is a direct outcome of the advent of trade, of entrepreneurial humans recognizing that their lives can improve by trading with other groups who possess skills and or resources that they do not. Making trade more efficient and effective has driven some of the most fundamental tools and advances that we take for granted as modern humans. We live on a very small rock that circles our sun in an unremarkable corner of the Milky Way galaxy. Although Earth can seem incomprehensibly vast with limitless resources and potential, history has shown us time and again that we need each other to survive and thrive. Trade is an essential component of the human condition. History has also shown the horrible things that happen when we fight with one another over resources and when trade is unnecessarily disrupted by conflict, political egos, and misunderstanding. Until next time, I wish you grace, dignity, and compassion. My name is Andy Temte. This is the Saturday Morning Muse. You can find the show on all the major streaming services as well as out on YouTube. Please like, subscribe, rate, and most importantly, share this public good with your friends, your neighbors, your family, and maybe even a colleague or two. The show is produced by Nicholas Temte, and we'll see you next time on the Saturday Morning Muse.